Hi, this is Jace Newsback, Senior Product Specialist for Aphex. You know, Aphex has been around for over 35 years now, creating high-quality professional audio products. And at the new Aphex, we're taking everything to the next level. So, kick back and relax as we introduce you to the feature set of one of our most popular products. Dominator 2, Model 722. This is the current and best version so far of the classic Aphex Dominator. 722 is a transparent multiband peak limiter with zero overshoot. Zero overshoot means that when you set the peak output level, nothing goes beyond that. Achieving a brick wall result while retaining complete fidelity is the art and science of the Dominator 2. The 722 features 3 individual peak limiters for high, mid, and low frequencies. The problem with limiters that are not multiband is they affect the entire frequency spectrum. For example, if you had some low frequency energy that was tipping the limiter would then kick in and cause gain reduction. But this would bring the entire spectrum of audio down in level. This makes the output level very inconsistent. With the multiband Dominator, that low frequency energy would only peak the limiter of the low frequency limiter, and gain reduction would only occur on the low frequencies, leaving the mid and high frequencies alone. You can also select the frequencies of the crossovers. This gives you some control over which frequencies feed which limiter. The challenge of summing the multiband limiter outputs is that the output can be unpredictable. Other manufacturers of multiband limiters have tried to come up with ways to deal with this, but so far all of their solutions degrade the audio. So the engineering team at Aphex was tasked to find a solution to this problem. Their solution to this problem is called the Automatic Limit Threshold, or ALT. Here's how it works. When the sum output of all 3 limiters exceeds a reference value, the ALT reduces the thresholds of all the individual limiters simultaneously and equally. This solves the problem without degrading the audio in any way. When the summed output falls below the reference level, the limiter thresholds return to their original settings. Let's take a look at the front panel. First, we have the input gain. This allows you to cut or boost the amount of signal coming into the Dominator by as much as 15 dB. The process on-off switch basically allows you to bypass the Dominator. The low-frequency EQ is not an EQ at all. It actually lets you cut or boost the signal going to the low-frequency limiter. For crossover 1, you can select a frequency of 100 Hz or 210 Hz. The high-frequency EQ, of course, is not an EQ either. It allows you to cut or boost the signal to the high-frequency limiter. Crossover 2 allows you to select between 1.7 kHz or 3.4 kHz. Frequencies between crossover 1 and 2 are sent to the mid-range limiter. You can adjust the release between 150 milliseconds and 7 seconds. Set it faster if you want to maintain output levels close to maximum. Set it slower for output lower in average amplitude. When you turn the stereo coupling switch on, it'll look at the gain reduction on both sides and use the one with the greater gain reduction for both channels. This gives the impression of a wider stereo image. The density knob controls the ALT parameters. Higher settings create greater loudness and punch, while lower settings create a softer, more transparent sound. The fine range and coarse controls all set the threshold of the maximum peak output. The peak output can be trimmed within 0.2 dB over a 34 dB range. The coarse control changes the peak ceiling level from 2 dB to 24 dB in 2 dB steps. The fine control adjusts the peak ceiling from -1 dB to +1 dB in 0.2 dB steps. Push the range button to -10 when interfacing the 722 with consumer audio equipment. These indicators tell you whether the pre-emphasis or de-emphasis circuits are on or off. We'll talk more about emphasis in a few moments. The limiting meter gives you visual feedback as to how much limiting is really going on. Now let's take a look at the back panel. First, we have balanced XLR inputs, followed by servo-balanced transformerless audio outputs on XLR connections. The servo balance means that the output receives feedback from the destination input. If an unbalanced input is detected, the entire signal is sent to the positive wire. Without the servo, the unbalanced input would receive 6 dB less signal. As the outputs do not have transformers, we provide a chassis ground lug to connect to your ground system. These switches allow you to turn the pre-emphasis and de-emphasis circuits on or off, and they drive the indicators on the front panel. Pre-emphasis is a noise reduction technique used for broadcast and transmission links. Pre-emphasis can be turned on and added to the signal after the input circuit but before the limiters. A time constant of 50 or 75 microseconds can be selected. 50 microseconds can increase 15K by as much as 12 dB. 75 microseconds can increase 15K by as much as 17 dB. Usually a 722 would feed a stereo generator for broadcast. You should bypass the pre-emphasis in the stereo generator and let the 722 handle the pre-emphasis. De-emphasis must be turned off when sending a pre-emphasis signal. If the stereo generator pre-emphasis cannot be bypassed, then turn the pre-emphasis off and the de-emphasis on for the 722. The de-emphasis circuit comes after the limiters but before the output stage. 600 ohm termination is also supplied for systems that require loading. When the 722 is bypassed, these terminations are lifted. The RJ11 remote connection can be used to wire an external bypass switch. Wiring details are in the manual. Applications. We've already talked a little bit about the Dominator in broadcast. It can provide greater fidelity and punch while still being transparent enough to not change the audio. In live performance, the Dominator should be the last audio piece before the crossovers and power amps. Any loud transient that comes into the system will be squashed by the Dominator and not passed on to your amplifiers to destroy your speakers and possibly your audience's hearing. The most important use of the Dominator is with in-ear monitoring. Putting a powerful speaker directly inside your ear canal is a risky business. A loud transient could come through and ruin your hearing forever. Running your monitor signal into the Dominator first will protect you. The guys in 9 Inch Nails insist on having a Dominator installed ahead of their in-ear monitoring because nothing is more important than your hearing. And that'll do it for this training video. I encourage you to head down to your local Aphex dealer and check the product out for yourself. And for more information, please visit our website at www.aphex.com. Thanks for watching.